Sure.
Virtus Pro going to set up on the top bounty rune, and we will have the typical trade-off. Rev gets one, Bloodseeker gets the other. So Gun's going to be playing the mid Bloodseeker here. They're not going to be putting the Lina up against the Ember Spirit. Why is that? Because Lina does very well versus Ember Spirit, especially those first couple of levels. Flameguard can't protect him at all.
I think the Lina just pairs well with the Naga Siren, because if Lil just gets a level of Ensnare early, you're almost guareeing yourself a kill. It's just a good setup, and I think G feels like if he's against the Queen of Pain or the Ember, he's pretty confident. The thing, though, that Forev is going to love about this lane is that there's almost nothing that can pop his Flame Guard.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be really satisfied to know that, and so both of them should get farm, I think. Like, this is a lane that I think both of them will succeed in, and they'll do fine. Like,
yeah, it's just kind of the bounty hunter factor that may be different. Jerix, well, that was actually a trade-off there. FNG and Jerix both kill each other's counter wards that were set up, and there is another counter ward sitting here in the middle lane. Now, it looks like FNG is going to try and protect God as much as possible. Our top lane is, of course, that Lina Naga Siren lane that we're talking about.
All right, they just keep eating each other's wards.
Back and forth. All right, so they finally keep one ward. FNG now keeps the one counter ward up.
He won the war.
He did.
Did he have... No, he had 3?
So Jerix is now going to head up to the top lane.
Yeah, this is the better thing for him to do. He knows he's given up on that war. He's lost that. It's better to just help out Sunby right now, because you can pressure the Naga and the Lina. Like, they're going to go for him right here and just try to do some damage.
If they manage to get the cogs, yeah, they actually grabbed a great play there from Sunby, bringing it back inside the cogs. Now, they won't be able to kill him, or at least very unlikely. Lil's going to have to eat through some trees, but they do get a lot of good harassment out. Jerix just puts that Orb of Venom on him one more time. But yeah, this sort of dual lane situation, this is actually one of, I feel like, one of the best uses of the Bounty Hunter as a roaming hero is to shut down the supports that are trying to kick back the offlaner, especially in dual lane scenarios.
Oh, for sure. The thing is, there's a lot of Bounty players, they just decide to camp mid and go non-stop at that and try to force it to work no matter what. It's like, okay, if they have a sentry there, then I'll try to snipe the courier or something along those lines. And I think that's the wrong idea to have. Like, you eventually have to just swap lanes and guarantee yourself some levels. Because if you're a level 1 bounty hunter at 6 minutes in, what are you actually going to accomplish for your team?
Brev takes some damage here. The hold of the Frostbite and a couple of right clicks out from the Bloodseeker. I'm trying to think here. There's not too many heroes that are... Yeah, I guess Sunbee's a little bit low. And same goes, Bounty Hunter was missing some HP earlier. They got to really make sure that doesn't happen. You've seen teams, like when they're playing against a Bloodseeker, specifically carry like a lot of healing salves just to make sure everyone is healthy.
That's pretty absurd, her win rate. Even before TI, she had a 60% win rate. Now she's got a 79% win rate, and in mid lane, they're not going to be able to get out of this Blood Right. They're both going to get hit by it, and G might actually just decide to go for this, but I guess he was afraid that somebody might rotate in, but they're getting really low, and Forev actually didn't even have any mana.
Yeah, Jerix actually has no HP regeneration. Same thing goes for Rev. So this is a huge lead now for G. He definitely read this lane very well and saw that he was going to be able to win it. He just gets a slight advantage and really starts using his physical damage to put pressure on the Ember Spirit. If you don't funnel a lot of regeneration to yourself, it's a rather easy kill after kill.
Yeah, and Jerix is actually really low right now, and he's afraid to even go for that Siege Wagon, because he has Shadow Walk still on cooldown, and he'd probably die for that.
Well, they get the Ensnare here. Light Strike Array will land on Sunby. He takes a lot of damage, but he really got the crucial cogs to push back Lil that allows him to survive. If that Naga Siren had actually gotten in range, even just an earlier Riptide, maybe that Clockwork would have died. Now, MP comes to the middle lane, the Queen of Pain to match up against the Bloodseeker, but I feel like it's just a bit too late.
Yeah, the Bloodseekers had way too much of a good time here. As MP actually only has 9 CS right now, which is pretty absurd considering the type of matchup. I guess he was against the dual lane.
Oh, Ensnare, great setup here. VP just burst down MP. That is a 4-man or 3-man rotation to the middle lane. Leading with the Ensnare. I mean, this Queen of Pain is really done for. He's got 3 different heroes that he's terrible against. You've got the Frostbite holds where you can't blink out. You've got the Ensnare hold as well. And then Earthshaker is quite strong just because he's got really long-range initiation. And later on to the game, of course, Blink Dagger and that Chain Stun is quite powerful versus any very mobile intelligence hero.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing Crystal Maiden used a lot against the Queen of Pain early. It's one of those supports that you can't really dodge, right? Like, you can dodge the Vengeful Spirit stun using the Blink, things of that, but against the Frostbite, you get held, you get held, and it should be enough time for G to almost always get that Blood Right off and chase. And the Crystal Maiden, at the same time, I think the biggest buff to her was that Glimmer Cape is now an item in the game. Like, it just makes her really naturally tanky.
Right. MP blinks forward. Nice use of the play there. He is going to be Blood Righted. Well, we've talked about this a number of times. You can blink as a Queen of Pain against the Rupture. You just have to keep moving. And because the Rupture only triggers if you move below 1300 range under 0.25 seconds.
Yeah, I think we talked about this matchup earlier, right? The Bloodseeker versus Queen of Pain and how hard it is for the Queen of Pain. Because you can throw out the dagger, but it doesn't actually do too much. Like, you throw out the dagger and then what?
It's very slow damage over time, which the Bloodseeker just plumply kills one creeps and instantly heals back up to full.
Yeah. Something actually really interesting, though, is that Sunbee's doing really well at this top lane. Like, he's already got Tranquil Boots and 500 gold to boot. DK Phobos is doing a pretty good job at bottom, but Sunbee's... It's really crucial that he gets a really early level 6, because he's one of those heroes that is going to stop FNG and G from continuing to just dominate this mid lane.
I like also his choice to go for the second level of Rocket Flare. You see this a lot from Clockworks. It just basically ensures he gets a little bit more CS. Sunbee, though, will finally be bursted down. He tries to go over to the neutrals, but I think he was really hoping for a Hellbearer smash to deny him. But that's not the case. Virtus.pro find their first kill on that offlaner. Another counter ward being placed out. Oh, no, Jerix is going to be caught now. They don't actually have enough mana for a Light Strike array, and Jerix was hovering just far enough down that they couldn't see him anymore.
Yeah, and their sentry actually just faded right now before they could do anything about it, and Jax is going to be pretty happy with the situation because he knows now that they don't have the sentry there. Otherwise, they would have just gone for that ward, right? There's no reason not to deward it, and it's going to be pretty easy now for Jax to just sit up here and soak experience. And I like the way that Jax plays Bounty Hunter. I think he's one of the bounties that is better about this. But
big jump onto DK Phobos, triple Remnant in order to burst down that Earthshaker. But God is now here with this Rupture. Brav has to go for the TP out, but he's immediately grabbed by that ensnare and taken out. He went for the glimpse play. He's now going to have to TP out. Lil, of course, doesn't have that ensnare anymore. So a clean escape for the support. But overall, that wasn't worth it for MVP Hot 6, losing their Ember Spirit in exchange for an Earthshaker kill.
It'd be an okay trade if the Ember Spirit had an overwhelming amount of farm or CS, but when you're this far behind, you don't want to die. Especially as a carry, trading 1-for-1 probably isn't worth it, especially since the Earthshaker's life is kind of pointless. All he cares about right now is getting levels, because he already has a Soul Ring. He's almost got fully completed Tranquil Boots. So farming for him in the jungle is going to be pretty easy. So for him to trade his life just 1-for-1 like that to slow down the Ember Spirit's farm is going to be significant, because Ember's a hero that really relies on hitting those item timings. If you can get drums plus Battle Fury at a reasonable time, then your hero is incredibly powerful. But he can't right now. Every minute that gets delayed just means that VP's 5-man is going to be even stronger.
Right. Queen of Pain found a haste rune. I was just wondering, are they going to try and shut down this Bloodseeker a little bit more, because God is just having such a great time in this middle lane. He's got for some basic stats, which I really like. Magic Wand, Tread, Ring of Aquila. And what is this Robot Magi going into?
He can decide to go for the Blade Mail. It's actually really strong in this game, considering the type of heroes they have. But VP are going to go for this bottom hero. And if you notice on the map, it's the lowest tower. So it's going to be the easiest one to go for after the kill. And it's going to leave them no time for them to respond, as DK Phobos is going to lead with the stun, Illidan with the follow-up, and Forev just doesn't have enough HP to live through that.
Great pickoff, especially with the Flame Guard not being used in time. Great setup by Virtus.pro. Very important pickoff. They've pretty much shut down all of the cores. I mean, the Queen of Pain is the one core that was doing okay, and even she has died once. Hookshot misses there. Lil is going to be in a spot of trouble. Sonic Wave will manage to finish him off, but MP may still be caught. DK Phobos, well, he doesn't have that Soul Ring. MP still hit by the Rupture, is going to be caught by the Blood Right. God easily finishes him up.
Yeah, they were trying to... That maneuver is just a little bit too risky, especially by a Tier 1 tower that you can't necessarily take. So that trade, obviously not worth it. Just a Naga support for a Queen of Pain, and that seems to be what MVP Hot 6 have to commit every single time they want to go for a kill, is that they have to give up one of their cores to do so, and you're just going to fall behind in GPM. Because that Bloodseeker has been a big proponent of all these kills right now. He's been in 3 already. It's not even like the Bounty Hunter has an overwhelming amount of levels or anything like that. FNG, somehow, despite babysitting everywhere and just buying wards, is level 6 as a CM.
Middle lane pushing back Forev away from that tower. They're actually about to get Lil to his level 6, which will obviously be a big factor in either setting up team fights or perhaps extricating Virtus Pro from a couple. DK Phobos with the Tranquil Soul Ring build, as you said, is going to have a pretty good time farming up wherever he goes. It's just a combination of regeneration that makes sure that the Earthshaker never has to go back to base. It's good at jungling, it's good for offlane.
Yeah, and G right now is just farming up some neutral stacks right now, and both
Disruptor, he's got his level 6. They're going to try and pump him with a Fisher. He actually got off the silence. He does it in time. Illidan will go down, and Heen, he's not even going to die. In fact, he's got a glimpse. Oh, no, he doesn't have the mana for it. That would have been so big. If he could, yeah, he actually has the mana now. If they gave him the bottle charges, if he could just see DK Phobos, he could bring him back. Unfortunately, though, DK Phobos ran himself into the trees and is currently hiding there. Still, though, there's a huge turnaround from our Disruptor. Heen just barely picking up his level 6 in time, leveling it up and turning it around on the Lina. Looks like they're still going to find DK Phobos here. He actually puts out the Fisher, stuns up the two of them, and thought about maybe controlling the Queen of Pain a little bit more. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Jerix. This is the one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about. Jerix, his Bounty Hunter play, like you said, he likes to play Bounty Hunter a lot. He's very good at it. I'm concerned he's not spending enough time getting those levels. Bottom lane, to kill the Disruptor. MP is going to be taken out by Laguna Blade as well. Virtus Pro just keep on finding openings.
They're going to rotate all the heroes down here now at bottom, because they know that even with MVP Hot 6 here, but somebody might just suicide for this.
Yeah, he goes straight for FNG, and he's not even going to be able to get that kill. He finally gets off Battery Assault, but FNG is separated by a great Fisher from DK Phobos. I mean, he was probably going to die no matter what, because the Bloodseeker was coming around, but that was a very clear suicide play to try and kill that Crystal Maiden, and just that trade-off doesn't feel like it's worth it.
No, not at all, because you're still giving up experience and gold to 4 different heroes that were there, and the likelihood that you get that kill is quite low, and all this is doing is securing that VP are going to get this bottom tier 1 tower. Like, the thing is if you lose 2 heroes down there, and your tower's at like 400 HP, that means they're almost certainly going to go for it, because you have 0 time to prepare. So instead of sending heroes down there further to just feed, you should go for the split push and just kind of split the map up for better farm overall, because all you're doing right there is giving them kills, or giving them the potential for kills, which is even worse. Like, losing the tower is bad enough. Losing heroes on top of that is going to be even more disruptive, but MVP Hot 6 right now, they need to start hitting their timing soon. Like, the Bloodseeker's getting out of control. The Bounty Hunter needs to get level 6 within the next 3 or 4 minutes for them to be able to do anything. Like, maybe then you can trade cores or supports, but until he gets level 6, it's really not that worth it.
Can you talk to me a little bit why we're seeing the, like last game it made, I guess, a little bit of sense because it was a lot of 5-manning, but Illidan could be going for another Bloodstone here. He went for the early point boost. I'm not sure if that's just value for the Aghanims later on, or if he's going to go an actual, full-on Bloodstone. Illidan's actually going to be jumped here. The Disruptor pops his ultimate and makes sure that Illidan does die. The sleep is there from Lil, but unfortunately it's not enough to save the Lina. Still, though, they're in a really great position to go for the Echo Slam. They hit it right before the Glimpse sends him back, but still, Forev is able to get away enough distance thanks to that haste rune. Nice catch there on MP, though, with the Ensnare. Catches a secondary kill, and they still get the Ember Spear. DK Phobos finds the opening thanks to the vision offered by the Bloodseeker.
I think he decides to go for the Bloodstone because the Eul Scepter, he doesn't really see a need for it, considering that he's got so much lockdown. On top of that, it's just a more defensive build. You don't have to have the Aghanim Scepter at level 10 or 11.
Yeah,
even the second
feels
level.
Very unnecessary.
Yeah, it's really underwhelming. It's that 3rd level where people start to pick up BKBs, where it truly makes a difference in my opinion. Like, being able to get a little bit more tanky, you can spam out your abilities, getting the Bloodstone, and it keeps you on the map a little bit longer.
Jerix poking at Lil. He's got to be quite careful.